I'm going to say that the gender gap that exists in South Africa is a reflection of the systemic nature of exclusion and disadvantage faced by women, whether as a result of apartheid or of the broader pattern of patriarchy found in present-day South Africa. Now, I use the word patriarchy here with much caution, only too aware that gender advocacy has so often positioned itself as the enemy of women's rights to freedom of belief and their freedom to express that belief as they choose. As a Christian by choice and a feminist, having lived my 65+ years of life in a world with systems and traditions designed to sustain a male-dominated world, learning to appreciate the sacrifices and achievements of those who stood up for women on many fronts, and now aware of the remaining strongholds in much of our thinking that still disempowers women, I am committed to doing what I can to ensure gender relations take on a healthier balance. What each of us holds to be true is a combination of our cultural and religious beliefs, our experiences, observations, and learning in general. Through our successes and failures, we build critical, analytical skills which lead to greater self-confidence and success. As empowered, for example, as I have been, simply by virtue of the fact that I was born white in a colonized part of Africa, it has taken courage to confront gender equity issues on the home front and in the workplace, and wisdom to know when and how to do it. The biggest challenge South Africa has in order to overcome the gender imbalance is, of course, the need for economic empowerment and transformation broadly in response to the legacy of apartheid. This makes the job so much bigger, and gender equity can get lost in the enormity of the task. Women are only really empowered when they become financially independent. This begins with access to early childhood development, basic education, and higher learning institutions. To succeed in business, however, women need to be able to access and mobilize private and business investments, benefit from public procurement, access finance and business development support, improve their skills, participate in networks and organizations through which they can support each other, and enjoy equitable representation in both the workplace and in public-private dialogue processes and mechanisms. As most institutions globally and locally tend consciously and unconsciously to serve the interests of men, gender mainstreaming, a process that recognizes and encourages institutions to adopt gender perspective in transforming themselves, is a necessary intervention. In closing, I want to summarize by saying women are empowered when they have access to resources and control over their own finances. I also want to remind myself that as a woman we have much in common, but we are also uniquely crafted and for many very different purposes, and generalizations are therefore not very helpful. As a group, we are made up of those historically disadvantaged, presently disadvantaged, previously advantaged, presently advantaged, young, old, differently abled, women living in rural areas, city women. We can be each other's worst enemy, or we can purpose to champion, encourage, and empower each other. Our minds also need renewing as much as anyone else, especially when it comes to our tendency to prefer men by default. When we recognize our own value and we give ourselves and each other permission to be ourselves, we will be empowered. As the always wise Dr. Seuss once said, "Today you are you, that is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you." Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Dudley.